The day I lost everything started with champagne. Mother insisted we celebrate my 18th birthday properly, though I knew something was off by the way her hands trembled while pouring. The crystal glasses clinked too loudly in our cavernous dining room, and Father hadn't touched his lobster thermidor, unusual for a man who treated every meal like a conquest. My name is Ingrid, and that was the last day I'd be called a Rogers. "Darling," Mother said, her voice tight as a violin string. "Your father and I have wonderful news." I set down my fork. The air felt thick, charged with something dangerous. My younger sister Mara watched from across the table, her face carefully blank. "We've arranged your future," Father announced, dabbing his mouth with a monogrammed napkin. "Trent Marshall. You remember him from the country club. His family's business would align perfectly with ours. The wedding will be next spring." The champagne turned sour in my mouth. "What wedding?" "Your wedding, dear." Mother smiled nervously. "We've already discussed the details with his parents." "No." The word came out before I could stop it. Father's face darkened. "No? I'm starting college next month. MIT accepted me. I'm going to build my own company, create something that matters." "Enough." Father's fist crashed onto the mahogany table. Crystal rattled. "This ridiculous fantasy of yours ends now. You're a Rogers woman. Your place is beside a suitable husband, not playing entrepreneur with the boys." "Playing?" My voice shook. "I wrote my first program at 12. I've already developed 3 apps, which we generously allowed as a hobby," Mother cut in. "But it's time to grow up, darling." I stood up, my chair scraping against marble. "I am grown up, that's why I'm making my own choice." "Ingrid," Mara whispered, "don't." Father rose slowly, towering over me. "You're too ambitious for a woman. It will destroy you. Now sit down and listen to reason." "No." I backed away from the table. "I won't marry Trent. I won't be your puppet." "Then you leave me no choice." His voice went deadly quiet. "Either you accept this marriage, or you're no longer my daughter. No money, no connections, no family name, nothing." Mother gasped. Mara looked away. I felt the weight of generations of Rogers women pressing down on me. All the quiet, obedient wives who'd suffocated their dreams for the family name. My hands clenched into fists. "Then I'm no longer your daughter. Get out." Father pointed toward the door. "Pack what you can carry and get out of my house." Mother started crying. "Bruce, please. Elizabeth, be quiet." He never took his eyes off me. "She's made her choice." I ran upstairs to my room, grabbed my laptop and a backpack. Hands shaking, I stuffed it with clothes, my coding notebooks, and the emergency cash I'd hidden under my mattress. When I came back down, they were gone. Probably retreated to Father's study. Only Mara remained in the foyer. "You're really leaving?" she asked. "You could come with me." She shook her head, tears spilling. "I can't." "You mean you won't?" I pushed past her toward the door. Thunder cracked outside. As I stepped onto the driveway, rain began to fall, soaking through my silk blouse, the last piece of luxury I'd wear for a long time. I looked back at the mansion that had been my prison and my privilege, at the window where I could see Mother watching, at the life I was leaving behind. "You'll see me again," I whispered, rain mixing with tears on my face. "And next time, you'll be watching from below." I walked away from everything I'd ever known, into the storm. I didn't look back again. 5 years later, I was nursing a cold coffee in a San Francisco cafe, using their Wi-Fi to debug code. My laptop, 3 years old, and held together with hope, displayed the error message I'd been fighting for hours. "Miss Ellis," the barista called out, "your hour's up. You need to buy something else to stay." I touched my wallet, knowing exactly how many dollars remained. 2. Not enough for another coffee. I'd chosen the name Iris Ellis the day I left home, but sometimes it still felt foreign on my tongue. "She's with me," a woman's voice cut in. "2 lattes, please." I looked up to see a tall black woman in a sharp blazer sliding into the seat across from me. She set down a business card. "Valerie Williams, Tech Investment Analyst." I'm not interested in. Yes, you are, she interrupted. Because I watched your pitch yesterday at Startup SF. The VCs were too stupid to see it, but your cloud infrastructure solution for manufacturing? It's brilliant. I closed my laptop. You followed me here? I followed the only person who understood that old money manufacturing is desperate for modernization. She leaned forward. I have savings. Not much, but enough to fund 3 months of development. I want in. Why? Because I'm tired of watching male VCs, fund bros, making dating apps while ignoring real solutions. She smiled. Also, I saw you sleeping in your car last night. My cheeks burned. I'm not looking for charity. Good, because I'm offering partnership. 30% equity for $50,000 and my connections in the industry. I studied her face for any sign of deception. Most people would call that crazy. Most people aren't paying attention. She pulled out her phone, showing me an article. Manufacturing giants are hemorrhaging money because they can't adapt to digital, including Rogers Holdings. My heart stopped at the name. I forced my voice to stay steady. You've done your research. That's my job. She put her phone away. So, partners? I extended my hand. Partners. The next 18 months were a blur of 18-hour days, instant noodles, and code. Valerie and I worked from a tiny office in Oakland, the kind where you had to jiggle the doorknob just right to lock it. But we were making progress. Another rejection, I said one morning, hanging up the phone. That's 15 VCs now. Screw them. Valerie was reviewing our financials. We don't need. A knock interrupted her. A man in an expensive suit stood in our doorway, looking out of place. Ms. Ellis, I'm Eric. I work in finance, specifically with traditional manufacturing firms. He glanced around nervously, including Rogers Holdings. My fingers tightened on my desk. How can I help you? They're dying, he said bluntly. The old guard is refusing to adapt. I've seen your solution. It could save them, but... He smiled grimly. Let's just say I have my reasons for wanting to see Bruce Rogers squirm. He placed a USB drive on my desk. They're complete financials. Use them however you want. After he left, Valerie turned to me. That was weird. Why would he? Because karma's finally calling. I plugged in the drive. And I think it's time we scaled up. Later that night, at a tech convention, I overheard two executives talking near the bar. Did you hear about Rogers Holdings? Bruce is desperate. Still won't admit these little disruptors are eating his lunch. Dinosaurs die hard, his friend laughed. I smiled into my glass. The same old men, the same dismissive attitudes. But this time, I had something they didn't. The future. Val, I called across the room. Book us a meeting with Thompson Financial tomorrow. I think it's time we stopped asking for money and started taking over instead. She raised an eyebrow. Going for the throat? No, I replied, thinking of that rainy night 5 years ago. Going for the crown. Their quarterly losses are catastrophic, Eric said, spreading documents across my office desk. 15 years had passed since that first meeting. And now my office occupied the top floor of a downtown high-rise. Bruce is running Rogers Holdings into the ground. I traced a finger down the financial statements. 7 consecutive quarters of decline. They're too proud to modernize, Eric smirked, still using systems from the 1990s. 3 major clients jumped ship last month alone. Valerie, now my COO, studied the charts from her tablet. They need our cloud infrastructure, desperately. And they know it, Eric added. Bruce has been meeting with Tyree from Global Tech, but those talks fell apart. Your system is their only hope now. I walked to the window, looking out at the city below. Somewhere in those streets, my father was probably in his own office, refusing to admit his empire was crumbling. What's our play? Valerie asked quietly. We wait. I turned back to them. Let them come to us. Eric gathered his papers. They will. Soon. Bruce's pride is strong, but the board is stronger. They're threatening to remove him if he doesn't find a solution by quarter's end. After he left, Valerie closed my office door. Ingrid, are you sure about this? 20 years is a long time to carry a grudge. This isn't about grudges. I sat behind my desk. This is about justice. Is it? She crossed her arms. Because from where I'm standing, it looks a lot like revenge. My phone buzzed. An email from an old business contact. I read it twice, then smiled. Bruce just requested a private meeting with ALX Systems CEO. I showed Valerie the screen. They don't know it's me, not yet. And when they find out? Before I could answer, my assistant's voice came through the intercom. Ms. Ellis, Tyree Sanders is here to see you. Speaking of unwanted ghosts, I muttered, send him in. Tyree strode in like he owned the place, all expensive suit and practiced charm. Iris, looking lovely as ever. Save it, Tyree. Why are you here? He dropped into a chair, uninvited. Can't I check on my favorite competitor? Especially when we both know Rogers Holdings is ripe for picking. You failed to acquire them, I reminded him. Bruce is stubborn, he shrugged, but desperate times. I hear you're their next hope. Want to partner up, split the spoils? I kept my face neutral. Not interested. Come on, Iris. 2 major tech companies joining forces. We could. I said no. I stood up. And it's Ms. Ellis to you. After he left, Valerie shook her head. He's going to be a problem. He's irrelevant. I pulled up my calendar. Schedule the meeting with Bruce for next Wednesday, main boardroom. The one with the view of their old headquarters. Exactly. I smiled. And Val? Make sure the entire family is there. Mother, father, Mara. Even Trent. She paused at the door. You know, there's a difference between justice and cruelty. Is there? I looked at the latest headline about Rogers Holdings' decline. They didn't think so 20 years ago. That night, alone in my penthouse, I opened my laptop and typed my birth name into the search bar. Ingrid Rogers. Old society pages appeared. Photos of charity galas, debutante balls, my parents beaming at the camera. In every picture, I wore the perfect smile of a perfect daughter. My phone lit up with a text from Eric. Board meeting scheduled, all parties confirmed. I closed the laptop and walked to my window. The city lights blurred below. A constellation of artificial stars. Somewhere out there, my family was probably dining in their mansion, clinging to their fading legacy, unaware that their prodigal daughter was about to return, not as the girl they cast out, but as the woman who would decide their fate. See you Wednesday, I whispered to the darkness. Hope you're ready for a reunion. Ms. Ellis will see you now, my assistant announced, ushering in the ghosts of my past. Mara entered first, her designer heels clicking against marble. 20 years had added elegant silver streaks to her dark hair. Behind her strutted Trent, somehow both grayer and smugger than I remembered. I stood behind my desk, wearing a power suit worth more than my first apartment. Welcome to ALX Systems. Ms. Ellis. Trent extended his hand, flashing what he probably thought was a charming smile. I've heard impressive things about your company. I let him hold his hand out, a moment too long before shaking it. Have you? Your cloud infrastructure solutions are revolutionary, Mara added, settling into a chair. Something flickered across her face. Recognition, maybe, but not quite connecting the dots. Please, tell me why you're here. I sat down, enjoying how they shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Trent leaned forward. Rogers Holdings is seeking a strategic partnership. Our manufacturing expertise, combined with your tech innovations, could reshape the industry. Interesting. I picked up a tablet. Your last quarter's numbers suggest you need more than a partnership. Those numbers are confidential, he snapped. Nothing is confidential in business, Mr. Marshall. Not really. I smiled. How is Bruce handling the board's ultimatum? Mara's perfectly manicured hands tightened on her purse. You seem very well informed. Information is power. I stood and walked to the window. Tell me, how's Mother these days? Still hosting those insufferable garden parties? The room went silent. I turned to see Mara's face had gone pale. How do you, she started. Know about those? I finished. I used to know you, in another life. Trent's chair scraped back. Who are you? Someone who understands exactly how desperate your situation is. I returned to my desk. The board's given Bruce until the end of the quarter to find a solution. Your systems are outdated, your clients are leaving, and your stock is plummeting. This meeting is over, Trent declared, standing. Sit down, Trent. My voice cracked like a whip. You never did learn when you were outmatched. He sat, more from shock than obedience. Mara was staring at me now, really staring. I could see the pieces clicking together behind her eyes. Your voice? It's familiar. Is it? I picked up my phone. Tell Bruce I'll meet with him on Wednesday. Full boardroom presentation. Bring everyone. Why everyone? Mara whispered. Because some reunions should have an audience. I pressed the intercom. Sarah, please show them out. As they reached the door, I called out, "Oh," and Mara. Mother's garden parties were always insufferable. The only thing worse was pretending to enjoy them. She froze, hand on the doorknob, but didn't turn around. After they left, Valerie emerged from her adjoining office. That was cruel, she said. That was a warning shot. I looked down at my phone, already buzzing with messages. The real artillery comes Wednesday. Ingrid, Valerie sighed. I saw your sister's face. She recognized you. Good. I turned back to the window, watching Mara and Trent hurry to their waiting car below. Let her spend the next 2 days wondering. Let her tell them something's wrong, but not quite know what. Let them all squirm. And then I show them exactly what that ambitious little girl they threw away built while they weren't watching. Later that night, my phone lit up with a text from Bruce himself. Wednesday confirmed, 10 a.m., full board attendance guaranteed. I typed back 2 words, looking forward. In my reflection on the window, I saw that 18-year-old girl in the rain, scared but defiant. But now she wore armor made of success, and her tears had hardened into diamonds. 2 days, I whispered to my reflection. 2 days until they learn my new name and remember my old one. The boardroom hummed with nervous energy as they filed in. I watched through one-way glass as Bruce took his seat at the head of the table, a habit he couldn't break, even in someone else's territory. Mother sat to his right, elegant as ever, but with tension lined around her mouth. Mara kept glancing at the CEO's empty chair, my chair, with barely concealed anxiety. Ready? Valerie asked quietly. I smoothed my blazer. I've been ready for 20 years. The lights dimmed automatically as I entered through the back door. A presentation flickered to life on the massive screen. ALX Systems, logo, rotating slowly. Good morning, I said from the shadows. Thank you all for coming. Ms. Ellis. Bruce's voice carried that familiar authoritative tone. We're eager to discuss potential collaboration. Are you? I kept my back to them, facing the window. Tell me, Bruce, at what point did you realize Rogers Holdings was failing? Silence fell sharp as a blade. I don't appreciate, he started. Was it when Phillips Manufacturing pulled their $100 million contract? I turned slowly. Or when the board threatened to remove you? The blood drained from his face as recognition hit. Mother's hand flew to her throat. Mara closed her eyes. Hello, Father, I smiled. You're looking older. Ingrid, Mother whispered. It's Iris Ellis now, actually. I walked to the head of the table. Though I suppose today you can have both names, for old time's sake. This is impossible, Trent sputtered. Is it? I pulled up their financial records on the screen. What's impossible is how badly you've run this company into the ground. 20 years of refusing to innovate, of clinging to outdated systems because that's how we've always done it. I mimicked Bruce's voice perfectly. You orchestrated this, Bruce accused, finding his voice. I didn't have to orchestrate anything. You did this to yourselves. I leaned forward. I just waited and built and succeeded despite everything you said I couldn't do. If you're here for revenge, Mara started. Revenge, I laughed. I'm here because you need me. Your company is worth a tenth of what it was when you threw me out. Your stock is in free fall. You have exactly 3 weeks before your creditors call in their loans. The board members shifted uncomfortably. They hadn't known that last part. You went through a lot of trouble, Bruce said coldly, for this moment of triumph. Trouble. I pressed a button, and images filled the screen. Magazine covers, stock charts, acquisition reports. No trouble at all. I built the largest tech infrastructure company in the country. I revolutionized manufacturing logistics. I made billions doing exactly what you said a woman couldn't do. Mother was crying silently now. Mara wouldn't meet my eyes. So here's what's going to happen, I continued. You need a miracle to save Rogers Holdings. I am that miracle. But I only took this meeting out of curiosity. I smiled. The answer is no. You can't. Bruce stood up. I can. I did. And now this meeting is over. I walked to the door, then paused. Oh, and Father, I'm not too ambitious for a woman. You were just too small-minded for a daughter. The boardroom erupted into chaos behind me as I left. Through the glass, I watched Bruce's face turn purple as board members demanded explanations. Mother dabbed her eyes with a monogrammed handkerchief. Mara sat frozen, staring at nothing. Valerie was waiting in my office. How did it feel? Like setting down a weight I've carried for 20 years. I poured 2 glasses of whiskey, but we're not done yet. What's next? I handed her a glass. Now we wait for them to realize that I'm not just their last hope. I'm their only hope. And when they come crawling back, you'll help them? No. I sat down at my desk. I'll buy them, and then I'll tear it all down and build something better from the ashes. The whiskey burned going down, but not as much as the truth I'd waited 20 years to deliver. The threats started 3 days later. Your father is spreading rumors, Valerie reported, dropping a stack of printouts on my desk. Claiming you're emotionally unstable, that you fabricated your success. I skimmed the articles. Desperate moves from a desperate man. My phone buzzed. Tyree again. His 5th call today. I ignored it. He's not the only problem, Valerie continued. Tyree's making a hostile takeover bid for Rogers Holdings. Low ball offer, but their stock is tanking. The board might take it. A knock interrupted us. My assistant's voice crackled through the intercom. Ms. Ellis, your sister's here. Mara looked different in daylight. Smaller, somehow. She clutched her designer bag like a shield. You're pregnant, I said, noticing the subtle changes in her posture. 4 months. She sat without waiting for an invitation. Nobody knows yet. Congratulations. Is that why you're here? I'm here because, she swallowed hard, because you were right. About everything. The company's dying. Father's losing control. And I can't. Her hand drifted to her stomach. I can't let my child inherit ashes. That's not my problem. Please, Ingrid. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I know what we did was unforgivable. I know I should have defended you, but please don't punish my baby for our sins. Before I could respond, my phone buzzed again. A news alert. Breaking. Rogers Holdings Board considers Sanders' global takeover bid. Tyree, I muttered. He's moving faster than expected. He'll destroy everything, Mara whispered. Not just the company, the foundation, the charitable trusts, thousands of jobs. And that would be justice, wouldn't it? I stood up, walking to the window. Everything Father built, dismantled by exactly the kind of ruthless businessman he always wanted me to marry. Is that what you want? To see it all burn? I turned back to her. What I want doesn't matter anymore. This is business. My phone rang again. Eric this time. I answered on speaker. Someone leaked your identity to the press, he said without preamble. Story breaks tomorrow morning. Disowned heiress returns. The secret behind tech's most mysterious CEO. Mara's eyes widened. I kept my voice steady. Who leaked it? My money's on Tyree. He's trying to force your hand. After hanging up, I studied my sister's face. 20 years of resentment and regret reflected back at me. You know what's funny? I said quietly. I spent 2 decades planning this revenge. But now that I have it, I shook my head. It tastes like ash. Then stop. Mara stood up. Help us instead. Show father there's a better way. Prove him wrong, not by destroying his legacy, but by saving it. It's not that simple. Why not? She stepped closer. You're stronger than his hate, smarter than his pride. Be better than us, Ingrid. Not because we deserve it, but because you deserve to be free of this weight. My phone buzzed again. A message from Bruce. We need to talk. Please. The great Bruce Rogers, saying please. Maybe that was victory enough. I'll think about it, I said finally. After Mara left, Valerie emerged from her office. The press will be all over this tomorrow. What's our play? I stared at the message from Bruce, remembering a frightened 18-year-old girl in the rain. She'd wanted revenge, but maybe what she'd really wanted was recognition, validation, proof that they were wrong. Call PR, I decided. Schedule a press conference for tomorrow morning. If this story's coming out anyway, we're controlling the narrative. And Rogers Holdings? I smiled, a plan forming. Tell Bruce I'll meet him. But this time, we're doing it my way. The sun was setting over the city, painting the sky in shades of revenge and redemption. Tomorrow, everyone would know who I really was. The question was, who did I want to be? Camera flashes exploded as I stepped up to the podium. The grand ballroom of the Four Seasons was packed with reporters, industry leaders, and curious onlookers. My family sat in the front row, not by choice, but by careful design. Good morning, I began, my voice carrying through the speakers. My name is Ingrid Rogers Ellis, and I have an announcement to make. The room erupted in whispers. Mother's face went pale. Bruce sat stone still. 20 years ago, I was disowned for refusing an arranged marriage and choosing my own path. Today, I'm announcing ALX Systems' acquisition of Rogers Holdings. More flashes, more whispers. Tyree, standing at the back of the room, crumpled his program into a ball. Not a merger, I continued, locking eyes with Bruce. An acquisition, complete control, new management, new direction. I smiled. New legacy. A reporter shot up his hand. Ms. Ellis, was this revenge? No, I replied. This is evolution. The old guard's refusal to innovate is over. As of today, Rogers Holdings enters the digital age, whether they like it or not. And the current leadership? Another reporter called out. Bruce Rogers will be stepping down, effective immediately. I watched him clench his jaw. The board has already approved the transition. Cameras swung to capture Bruce's reaction. He remained rigid, but I could see the muscle twitching in his cheek, the same tell he'd had when I was a child. Questions, I asked. Hands shot up everywhere. I pointed to a woman in the third row. Your father called you too ambitious for a woman. What would you say to him now? The room went silent. I leaned into the microphone. I'd say he was right. I was too ambitious to be the kind of woman he wanted. Instead, I became the kind of leader this industry needed. More questions flew, but I raised my hand for silence. One final announcement. ALX Systems is establishing a $100 million fund for female entrepreneurs from underserved backgrounds, because talent doesn't care about gender, and neither does success. The press conference ended in chaos. Reporters shouting questions as I left the stage. In the green room, Valerie handed me a tablet showing our stock price soaring. Well played, she said. It's not over. I watched through the door as my family huddled together, photographers circling them like sharks. Now comes the hard part. Bruce burst into the green room, face purple. You orchestrated this entire thing. Yes, I said calmly. Just like you orchestrated my exile 20 years ago. I'll fight this, he snarled. With what? I held up my phone, showing him the board's unanimous vote. Your own board chose this, because unlike you, they'd rather survive than cling to outdated pride. Mother appeared behind him, tears streaming. Ingrid, please. Save it. I turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and father. The company's first act under new leadership will be to establish a coding academy for girls. We're naming it after your mother, the woman you always said was too smart for her own good. I walked out, leaving them with the ruins of their empire and the dawn of mine. In the hallway, Mara caught up to me. "What happens now?" she asked. "Now?" I looked at her growing belly, thinking of future generations. "Now we build something better, something worthy of that child you're carrying." Together, I studied her face, the sister who'd watched me leave, who'd chosen safety over solidarity, who now stood in the wreckage, seeking redemption. "We'll see," I said finally. "Actions speak louder than words. Show me who you really are, beyond father's shadow." She nodded, understanding the challenge. Outside, reporters waited with cameras and questions. But for the first time in 20 years, I didn't feel the weight of revenge on my shoulders. I'd taken back my name, my birthright, and my future. Not as the daughter they'd wanted, but as the woman I'd become. "Ready?" Valerie asked. I straightened my jacket. Time to show them what ambitious really means. The old home video played silently on my office wall. My 10th birthday party, mother adjusting my party dress, father beaming with pride, Mara helping me blow out candles. A perfect family portrait, before ambition became a sin and success became a betrayal. I clicked off the projection as Valerie entered with 2 glasses of champagne. "The board approved everything," she said, handing me a glass. "The Coding Academy opens next month. First class is already full." "And Bruce?" "Oh, signed the final papers this morning. No contest." She settled into a chair. "Though I heard he's taken up golf." I snorted. "Mother, organizing a charity gala for the Coding Academy, surprisingly. Apparently, she's become quite the advocate for women in tech." My phone buzzed with a text from Mara. "Baby kicked during the board meeting. She's already disrupting things, like her aunt." "You're smiling," Valerie observed. "Am I? First time I've seen that in 20 years. She leaned forward. "So, was it worth it? Getting everything you wanted?" I walked to the window, looking out at the city I'd conquered. "I didn't get what I wanted. I got what I needed." Which was to prove that success isn't about what they give you. It's about what they can't take away. My assistant buzzed in. "Ms. Ellis, the contractors are here about the academy renovations." "Send them up." I turned to Valerie. "Want to help design some classrooms?" "Actually," she smiled, "I have a date." "A date? With whom?" "Eric." Turns out revenge isn't the only thing that brings people together. After she left, I stood in my office alone, surrounded by the empire I'd built. On my desk sat a small package from Mother, delivered this morning, unopened. I finally picked it up. Inside was a framed photo I'd never seen before. Teenage me at my computer, completely absorbed in coding. A slight smile on my face. On the back, Mother's elegant handwriting. "You were never too ambitious. We were too blind." My phone rang, a video call from Mara. "Look who I found in the old storage room," she said, holding up a dusty trophy. "Your first coding competition win. Father kept it." He did. In his private study, along with every article ever written about you, even before he knew you were Iris Ellis. I sat down heavily. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because carrying hate is as heavy as carrying guilt." She touched her growing belly. "And I want my daughter to know her aunt never needed anyone's permission to be extraordinary." A knock at my door. The contractors waiting to build classrooms where young girls would learn to code, to dream, to be ambitious without apology. "I have to go," I told Mara. "There's something I need to build." "There always is," she smiled. "But dinner soon, just sisters." I looked at the photo from Mother, the trophy Father kept. The sister who was trying to bridge decades of silence. "Yes," I said. "Just sisters." I let the contractors in, spreading blueprints across my desk. But first, I walked to my private bathroom and faced the mirror, something I'd avoided for 20 years. The reflection showed neither the perfect daughter they'd tried to create, nor the vengeful exile I'd become. Instead, I saw someone stronger, a woman who'd turned wounds into wisdom, rejection into revolution. I touched the mirror, remembering that terrified 18-year-old in the rain. "We did it," I whispered. "We built something no man could own." Returning to my office, I picked up a marker and wrote across the blueprint, in bold letters, "The future has no gender." "Let's begin," I told the contractors, because that's what I'd always done best. Building something new from the ashes of what was lost, creating space for others to rise. Not an ending, but a beginning. Not revenge, but revolution. Not their daughter, but my own woman. Finally, completely free.